They humiliated me at work, so I secretly took over their biggest client and made them beg me for a job. Let me tell you a story about revenge. Not the petty kind, not the kind that ends in a slap or an angry email, but the slow, calculated, cold kind. About 5 years ago, I worked at a mid-sized marketing agency. Let's call it Brandcore. I was one of the few people there who actually understood both the creative and technical sides of digital marketing. I built strategies that made clients a lot of money, but I wasn't flashy, didn't kiss up, and didn't care for office politics. Brandcore had this tight little clique running the show. Upper management types who loved the sound of their own voices. They loved to borrow ideas and present them as their own in meetings. You know the type. I didn't mind much because I was there to learn, save, and build something of my own. Then came the humiliation. I've been working on a huge strategy for one of our biggest clients, a high-end fitness brand with millions in revenue. I poured weeks into a pitch that could 3 times their conversions and scale their reach like crazy. My manager, let's call him Brad, loved it and said he'd present it to the board. But when the day came, I wasn't invited. They presented my deck, stripped of my name, with my data and creative ideas. I watched the Zoom from outside the boardroom like a ghost, and Brad strutted out afterward like a damn peacock. Not even a thank you. Worse, a week later, I got demoted. They said they needed someone with more polish to lead strategy. That person? Brad's college buddy, who literally didn't know how Google Ads worked. That was my last week at Brandcore. I left without a fight. Didn't rage quit. Didn't even demand credit. But I did one thing quietly on the way out. I took a USB drive with me. It didn't have any files, just notes. Notes I had written about what the client actually needed, based on all the calls and analytics I'd collected. Things they'd never understand because they only knew surface-level buzzwords. And I built something better. Over the next 18 months, I used my savings, freelance income, and a little investor help to start my own agency. Small, elite, and laser-focused on e-commerce. I called it Ghost Matter. No big PR launch, just results. I hired 2 people, 1 data scientist and 1 designer. And we went hard on back-end strategy. Then I reached out to that fitness brand, not as that guy from Brandcore, but as Ghost Matter's founder. They remembered me. More importantly, they remembered that my ideas were the ones that had moved the needle. I offered them a 60-day pilot, no contract. If we don't outperform your current agency, walk away. They agreed. We tripled their revenue in 6 months. Brandcore was still coasting on the goodwill of the early campaign I had made, but their performance tanked once the initial momentum died. Clients started leaving, and the clique panicked. Guess who they called? It was surreal when Brad emailed me, asking if Ghost Matter would be interested in a partnership. I replied from a burner address first, just to test how desperate they were. They sent PDFs, pitch decks, even offered to white label their services under my brand. I agreed to a meeting. When we got on the call, it was just Brad and his new head of strategy, the buddy. Their cameras were on. I waited, then turned mine on. Brad's face dropped. I thought, are you? He stuttered. Hi, Brad, I said. I believe you've used my work before. Thought I'd return the favor. They didn't know what to say. I let the silence